Cherie Johnson.
Okay.
Welcome.
Too long. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lisa and John.
Okay. We're back again for episode
She
number
didn't
20.
say hi.
Well,
I
you
did.
took too
Oh,
long. She did
sorry.
say hi and you took
Okay,
too long.
sorry.
But we're back again for episode 20. We
Hi,
did
everyone.
a 3-part series of near-death experiences. We did the afterlife, reincarnation and past life regression. And we're back to doing something paranormal. So we're going to hear some stories about the house in Virginia. I mean, we live in Virginia, so we kind of keep
I
everything
live in
here.
D.C.
Anyway.
Sheesh.
So we're in Virginia. We're in that house. When you guys lived in this house, how old were you? Each of you.
Let's see.
I don't know.
I moved in at the age of 11.
Okay.
And
I have no clue.
so she was about four.
No, hold on. Before we continue, you're throwing out those dates. So, women aren't supposed to tell our age, right?
Oh, I don't mind telling my age. I'm 56, pushing 80.
Okay.
I am 28 and forever will be. So there's that.
I'm a silver fox. I'm proud
As
of it.
my daughter walks by and side eyes me.
That's my mini me walking past you, by the way.
It truly is.
Yes.
So again, you were about 4 years old when you guys lived in this house.
Maybe. Who knows?
Okay. And you were about 11 years old.
I was about 11 when I moved in because they lived there for a couple of years before I moved in.
Okay. You two guys have quite a few brothers and sisters. Who lived in that house at that point? How many? You don't have to give names.
I'm not going to give names. So at that time, there were 7 siblings and our parents. So 9.
Wow.
9
people in this house.
Yeah.
Before we tell stories, how many of the siblings had paranormal experiences in this house?
7 out of 7.
Yes.
So everybody did?
Yes.
Everybody.
Now,
But if you ask one brother,
he doesn't remember.
He doesn't remember anything.
He doesn't remember anything.
No,
so I already know who that is.
Right. He has selective memory.
Anyway.
Right. So, except for he does remember the old man that bit him in the head. I mean, not the bit him in the head, but the old man in the closet.
Yeah.
He remembers that. So
that might be about it.
That's pretty much the only thing that he remembers from that.
Wow. So I've heard some of the stories, but I haven't heard all of the stories or accounts of the stories in that house.
Which is too long for this show, but we can definitely give you some.
What we're going to do is just sum up some of the experiences. You can't go through how many ever years you guys lived in the house and tell every single story. We want to focus on something that was more impactful or memorable. There you go. That's the word.
All of them were very memorable.
I mean, I know they're memorable, but some stand out more than others.
Right. Some have more lingering effects than the others on specific siblings.
Yes. We know that. Let's reference the Hat Man, but outside of that.
Yeah.
If you guys didn't hear it, you can go back a few episodes, maybe about 10 episodes. Lisa told a story about the Hat Man. If you're into the Hat Man, listen to that story. This is the house that they lived in. So now put us in the house.
Okay.
Any one of you.
Cherie.
Okay. So the house was in a typical suburban neighborhood right off of Route 50 and actually on Fenwick Road.
In Northern Virginia.
Falls Church area. So if you're facing the house was a brick colonial, but it wasn't a large one. This was a house that's built along, my understanding that the Tremont neighborhood was built primarily originally for military families.
Right.
So every house looked exactly like the next house. You had a front door with a window or 2 windows on either side of the front door. In front of our house, there were, if you're standing out on the street looking, you had the sidewalk going up to the door. There were 2 huge pine trees that actually were taller than the house itself on either side of the sidewalk that took up almost the entire front yard on either side. Driveways to the left, dirt driveway, no garage. When you walk up to the door, there was a closed-in porch. With a kind of steeple-shaped roof.
And this is the front of the house?
This is the front of the house. And it had...
It's gone now.
The porch is gone. The house is still there. And it had the porch had windows on it that you crank open So they kind of opened up like a accordion like in upward level. You enter the front door and you're in the living room. If you look to your left, the windows to the front door facing the yard, and to your left on the outer wall was 2 more smaller windows, and in between a fireplace. Go straight ahead and you're in the dining room, which had a window looking out to the side of the house to the driveway, and then a window that looked in the backyard. Yep. To your right, sorry about that. To your right is a door that took you to the basement. And then you take a few more steps. There's another doorway that took you into the kitchen, which was some kind of like a galley-like kitchen, but it was just everything was just on one wall. And then to your left, there was a door that would have gone out to the backyard, but there had been an addition built on the back, like a porch,
an enclosed
porch on the back.
And then another porch off the porch. Remember that little kind of square area?
Yeah, it was like
where Mom put all her plants when they weren't inside.
Yeah. So it was like they called themselves trying to screen in or close in the entrance to come in from the back. So
the rickety steps.
Yeah, very rickety steps. Then you come back out and go to the living room. You're standing at the front door. You would look to your right, and there's like a little walkway, like going into a hallway entrance. And there's a doorway that was at an angle that went into a very large bedroom with windows facing out to the front yard and a window facing out to the side of the house.
Whose room was that?
Everybody's.
At different times, different people. So we played musical bedrooms a lot growing up. And there's reasons for that, but I'll get into that later. Turn slightly left, go past that door, look to your left. There's a stairwell going upstairs. Immediately to your right is the door that went into my parents' bedroom, and go another foot and you were at the bathroom. And right next to the bathroom and in between the door going to the upstairs was a small linen closet. Open the door and walk up the stairs, which would have been technically to the attic area. It had been finished off into bedrooms.
Attics are no good.
And we used to sleep up there.
Yeah, we talked about that previously twice.
Yeah. So that was a L shape when you first walk up the stairs. It was a big area. There was a instead of handrails or baluster going across the stairs at the top, they had built-in bookshelf. So when you walk up the stairs, you went around the white bookshelf, and then there was a door, and that door led into another larger room with windows facing the front and the side.
The house is all mixed up.
Yeah. So it was like a big, like you kind of walk up the stairs, make a turn and come and you're in the other room. But to the right side of the stairwell, there was a closet that you could walk through from either room.
Triangle shape.
So almost. It made it almost like you could walk upstairs and make a complete circle.
Yeah.
Right?
That's where the old man was.
Yeah. So the old man was in that closet. And that was the closet that our older brother slept in and started listening to The Exorcist and drawing crazy pictures.
That's another time for another day.
So what year was this house built?
So that house was built in, no, I think it was built like in the 30s or maybe the 40s. But I remember my mother saying that she never thought she would live in that house, that she remembered driving past it in a funeral procession and looking at it, and that the weeds were so high that it covered the roof. They were higher than the roof. And that an old military...
So I guess you got it cheap.
Right. I say so. It was an old military general or someone that lived in the house. I think he had 1 or 2 kids, but his wife passed, and when his wife died, he went into a deep depression and really rarely left the house.
But did she die in that house?
No, he died in the house.
Oh, but she did.
She did not. He died in the house upstairs in that attic.
Told you.
And
attics are no good.
Yes. And he fit the description of the story that you all talked about before of the man that my brother that doesn't believe in anything saw.
So who had the first experience in the house?
Everybody.
No, you can't say everybody because somebody should have noticed something first.
So my mother said that she just felt uneasy in the house. And my first experience of seeing something one of my mother's aunts was visiting. She was the aunt that I lived with for most of my earlier years. And she was sitting on the sofa with her back to the window. And my mother was sitting on a chair facing her. I had come out of the kitchen through the dining room into the living room. And there was a football on the floor. And the ball just moved. It bounced across the floor with no one touching it.
We all had that experience.
So it was sitting
sitting
still
on the floor in front of the fireplace.
And it just started to move.
It just started
I wasn't
bouncing.
there at that time, but I was there the other time. The football was there.
So my mother blamed it and said it was my aunt, that my aunt did it.
So, but was your aunt near the...
No, my aunt wasn't near it.
Oh, yes. Okay, I was there. It picked up and...
kind of flipped.
It picked up, and flipped. And she never came back to our house.
No, she didn't come back to the house after it. But she has in her own house. So, yeah.
So the football started to move and then it
that
just lift up.
It lifted up as if somebody picked it up.
And dropped it, and it just kind of bump across the floor. And nobody was near it.
Nobody.
Yeah.
And were we like, oh, that it kind of just happens? I think we were more, I don't know that we were.
Because, I mean, it sounds like besides your aunt, everybody brushed that off as, well,
like I don't know that we brushed it off. We just kind of.
Yeah. I was like, what the? And Mom looked at me and told me just with her eyes that kind of looked like, shh. Right. And Mom was freaking out herself, sort of, but it was more so that she thought that my aunt had done it because there were weird things that always happened around this particular aunt.
Oh, yeah. She had a bad omen? Or?
No, but
weird things moved in her house.
She did it in her mind, or she brought something with her?
My mother didn't know. She was like, I don't know if she brought something with her or she did that with her mind. But either way,
she was the all-knowing anyway, so it would not surprise me.
Yeah.
She just knew stuff. She knew I was pregnant. She knew.
Yeah,
okay.
She did.
Mama didn't even know, and Mama knew always when I was pregnant.
So that's a small one, but I mean, did it just kind of progress over time, or it just was random?
So it was just random things at first. Like you'd be sitting in the living room and, we might be sitting there playing Monopoly or something. And all of a sudden you'd hear cabinet doors open.
I mean, what about your dad?
Dad? Okay. So
I know he probably wasn't home as much
No,
because
he
I know
wasn't.
he worked a lot.
So Dad tried not to really pay too much, and he wasn't one that's talked much. He was really, really super quiet.
Very.
He hardly ever spoke. Let's just put it that way. And if he did speak, it was to discipline you. So, and he, the man worked 7 days a week. So even on holidays, he was outside working on someone's car.
Something.
You're right, exactly. But
house or car.
Yeah, one of the two or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you got that many mouths to feed you got to work 7 days a week. But my mom was there more. She saw more things. We children as a collective saw things individually and in groups. And there were times when both parents were home that also saw things at the same time that we saw them and experienced them at the same time that we experienced them.
So, but with your dad, it was more like he kept it to himself.
Pretty much.
He kept it to himself. I don't know that he even knew how to wrap his head around it, or even if he believed it. He was probably he was busy.
No, I say, well, talking to him now, in older years, excuse me, he remembers those things.
Oh, does he? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. We've had plenty of conversations about the things that have happened, especially the one with the witchy looking woman.
Oh yeah,
with
so we should talk about that.
The broken thing.
Yeah,
so.
you can get to the stories.
Okay.
But now with your mom, and how did she feel about?
So Mom had this thing that this isn't the only home that we've lived in that things happened in. Okay. And our home, as far as the family goes, isn't the only home in the family that things happened in, and that people all saw things at the same time happening.
Wow.
So this depending upon what it was and what was happening would dictate how mom responded at that moment. But most of the time, she would be, oh my God, and trying to grab all the kids. Okay, come on. And then trying to rush everybody into one room and shut the door. Okay, that was her usual response. And then pick up all the kids and leave and go stay at our uncle's house in DC. Or spread us out through other relatives' homes and not go home for a while. After talking to someone after this one incident that happened when our brother, who doesn't believe in stuff, was born, and that's another thing, in the neighborhood where we met your family, things happened. And so she was told by a priest to open up a Bible, get some holy water sprinkled around the house, and say prayers through every room and tell whatever it is to leave in Jesus' name.
Amen.
And so that would be her resolve for these things, but they continued to happen.
So at one point, did your mom just want to say, hey, let's pack it and just leave for good?
Oh, well, yeah. And we moved a lot.
But
yeah,
you just mentioned just a moment ago that it has happened in multiple houses.
Right.
Yes.
It followed us.
So what you're saying is for the experiences that we've had in our houses, we can blame Lisa?
No.
Is that where we're going with this?
No, because things happened way before she was ever born.
Well, but she brought it here with us.
No, I didn't.
Do you have the thing that sits on your bed?
We have the bed sitting thing. John has experienced the bed sitting
I'm
thing.
so sick
that
of
was you.
I am so sick of the bed sitting thing.
I only had the feeling of the cat, but he's had the feeling where the bed rocked.
I get the bed rock. I get the thing where it feels like an animal has jumped on the bed. But the biggest thing is the feeling like something, and literally seeing the bed go down. And George was like, whatever, until he actually experienced it for himself.
Right.
We talked about this before, but since we're here, I want to bring it up.
Nice
at this
segue.
moment.
Okay.
The segue, because we're talking about your mom.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
That voicemail.
Oh, the controversial voicemail.
Yeah, controversial voicemail. Did you heard that, right?
She heard it, but she doesn't believe it's mom, whereas Carlos and I believe it's her.
And
wait a minute, you have to refresh my memory. You all know that I'm
it was because I brought it up the last time because the show that we were doing, it just came to me to think about this. After your mom had passed,
mm-hmm.
maybe was it a week or so later, Carlos got this voicemail on his phone.
Was it her singing?
No, it wasn't her singing. She was talking. We could only understand a part of it. And it was not an old voicemail. And when she was in the hospital, they had her sedated.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way at even the time frame that she could have called out of that hospital.
Right.
So Lisa and I were talking about that. And she said, Carlos, besides myself, Carlos and her are the only ones that believe that was her on that voicemail.
Oh, yeah, you do too. John heard it the same night. Carlos called us in the middle of the night, not to repeat the story, but Carlos called us in the middle of the night and said, listen to this voicemail. And it said, what did it say? I was trying to call you, not picking up.
And then
something.
And that's all. And the rest of it, we could not understand.
And the entire night, Carlos and I and John were trying to debunk where that call came from.
Right.
And it was from the hospital. But it was from Arlington Hospital, right? It was from Arlington Hospital.
Something like that.
And the phone kept ringing and ringing. And then we called there and asked someone just called from this room and they were going, well, we don't know. I don't remember the end result, but yes, I was going, that sounds just like mom. And then
I remember that.
Do you remember
that? Because Carlos let me listen to the voicemail and it did sound like mom.
Oh, you thought it would sound like mom?
But,
yeah.
But
so
we're waiting for the but.
Well, no. So when he first told me about it, I thought that maybe it was the thing that I sent you guys where I had the last time I was in the car with her, where I was videotaping her with my little Lotus phone, which wasn't the best recorder.
Sure.
And I recorded her. I took pictures of her. I recorded her talking, and she was fussing with somebody because her phone rang. But she was singing Al Green songs and singing and dancing with her hand in the air. And I sent that to all of my siblings so that you all have it. And for some reason, nobody got it.
Yeah, I didn't
no,
get it.
this wasn't. There was no singing. It was like, it sounded like she was trying to. She wanted to talk to somebody and tell somebody something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you can hear the first part of it, but then it kind of faded to where you couldn't understand what she was saying.
Right.
It was just kind of gibberish.
Yeah.
That's it.
He still has it. We should ask him to play it.
I know. That's
Yeah.
so you need to listen to it again to see what you think
We
about
asked
it.
one of our other sisters and she was like, nope, that's not her. Absolutely not. And I said, kind of, because it's so raspy. That's why.
Right.
So
It sounded exactly
you
like
know,
her.
like when she first would wake up, you know, she smoked. So imagine that
Mhm.
voice.
Yep.
Yeah. I say, well, after they intubated her for to put that thing in her back, that her voice was raspy after that
Oh, okay.
at the hospital.
See,
Maybe she snuck a phone.
how could she sneak a phone?
Oh, she was already passed. Listen, she needed the phone in the morgue.
Yeah, she
I don't-
probably
Well,
from upstairs. She snuck a phone.
all I'm going to say is that she came back to see me while I was wide awake, and George had just walked out the door to go out of town, and I'm sitting on the bed getting ready to turn the TV on to watch the news. And when she came to me, my whole back of my room, it was like something from a freaking movie. The whole backside, opposite side of my room went completely black. And all I saw was this light thing coming through the window, and it looked like something on fire, taking the shape of a human form coming towards me. And she was like, "Don't be afraid. It's me. It's me, Deanne. It's me." And I'm like, "Who?" And I started backing
Who?
up. I started backing up
Is
on
out.
my
Yeah.
bed. I mean, I literally was like trying to back into my headboard. And I was like, what, who? What? And so when it started coming towards me, and it's like things started lightening up to where I could see the form, and it looked like Mom from back on Fenwick Road
Right.
when she was a little heavier and healthier. And I was like, "Mom?" And she was like, "Yes, it's me, but I can only come this one time." And I'm like, "Wait a minute. You're over there burning, and I feel nothing but heat coming from you. Which way did you go?"
Yeah, seriously.
Right? So I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, wait, you sure you ain't a demon pretending to be my mama?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So anyway, long story short, she was like, "No." She's like, "I feel warm because when you die, we all become part of the light. We're all energy, and we all join that energy again." She's like, "But I can only come for the moment. This is the only time you're going to see me. I need to tell you something." And then Danielle yelled for me to come downstairs in the kitchen because her wife caught something on fire on the stove. And she was
Nice.
like, "No, don't go. I got to tell you. I won't have another time to tell you."
Right.
And 2 weeks later, Dad was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And 2 weeks after that, our eldest brother was diagnosed with kidney cancer.
Wow. That's crazy.
When you mentioned the heat, and you said the right thing when you said after that, because when people go into a room, you watch the ghost stories or the paranormal shows and things like that, they always feel cold.
Mm-hmm.
That's not energy, because they said ghosts is because ghosts are manifesting.
Mm-hmm.
So you get this cold air, which can't be true, because if we're energy is heat.
Yes.
Even
Yeah.
calories burned in your body is heat.
Mm-hmm.
So we emit heat. Even our soul would emit heat.
What
So-
if you're the devil?
You would
Well,
still,
then you still be hot.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, I guess.
exactly.
But and the only reason why the first time I just heard this just recently, the reason why people feel cold, because when they go in a room, they get chills, and you know how you get the goosebumps up their arms and you
Yeah.
get cold,
Right.
because they get scared.
Right.
That's where it comes from.
Oh.
That's where everybody gets
The
that.
blood leaves their body.
Yeah, they get the cold feeling from is
Sure.
because they're afraid.
Right.
Let's go back to the house. Sorry for the quick interlude.
That's okay.
Mm.
That we had the football. We want to get to something that's, I guess, everybody experienced, that made your mom want the guys to hightail it out of there.
The witch.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me hear.
She can lead.
Okay. So my mother had inherited a bunch of antique furniture from one of her great aunts. A house full of furniture. Beautiful, beautiful pieces. My mother did not like antiques at all. She said that dead spirits stick to.
She only said, that's a nice piece of furniture.
Yeah. She'd say it was nice and pretty, but she didn't want it in her house.
You're right.
But she did keep the dead lady's clothes. Okay. So anyway, long story short, some of the pieces were down in the basement. Some of the pieces were still out in the yard. And you're talking, 8-foot high, 4 or 5 foot wide wardrobes made out of solid mahogany sitting outside. She finally gets everything into the house. Our 2 younger brothers, they're not the youngest, but the 2 youngest at that time. They were in the basement playing around. And what we found in some of the stuff down there, we found a Victrola. We found one that had the glass records. We found original comic books like the first Roy Rogers and the first, they were like the first edition of every like comic book, Superman, the big Superman comic books, the little ones, you name it. This woman was a collector and she had like first editions of different things.
And she was your aunt?
She was my mother's great aunt.
Oh, your mother's great aunt.
Hoarder.
Right. So,
sorry.
No, this woman was not a hoarder at all. She just would collect things that she felt were going to be of value. And she wasn't like.
Those are.
Yeah. So in that drawer, it was like 10 comics, first editions of each comics. And you're talking like, 1930s, 40s, 50s. So, and there were other things in there too. So they're downstairs playing around in the different things. And somehow the lady's fish tank got broken. And it was one of those big, like 150-gallon tanks sitting on a wooden stand.
Was there fish in it?
There was nothing in it because it had been emptied out and brought to our house.
Okay.
That night when we all went to bed, now remember I told you how when you go towards the bedrooms, the first bedroom was a large bedroom. The second bedroom was my parents'. Then you turn left and go up the stairs and you're in the L-shaped room and then the second room. So when you get to the very top of the stairs, there were 2 twin beds over near the window. Then there was a twin bed right in front of the bookshelf going into the next room, the larger room where our oldest brother stayed. At that time, our parents they still had the bedroom right next to the bathroom. And I can't remember who was in that first bedroom. I don't know. I don't even think anybody was in there at that point.
Well, was this at nighttime?
This was at night, but I don't think anybody was staying in that room because Mom had so much of that furniture and stuff in there. For some reason that night, I went up and got in the bed next to the bookshelf where Lisa and her twin were sleeping. I'm cuddled up with them. Our older brother's back in his room. The 2 younger brothers were in their beds. I just felt something weird and you could hear like creaking.
Like walking on the floor?
Yeah, coming up the stairs. Whoever it was actually cussing, right? You could hear them cussing, saying all kinds of foul, MFers, blah, 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 right? But it didn't sound like anyone in our household. And there wasn't really there was fussing in our house, but there wasn't a whole lot of cussing going on in our home growing up. So I just had this weird feeling. And so I peeked up and I saw this body and long hair and this long draped looking like shawl kind of thing that was, just long. I mean, I even have one now myself, but it looked like, like some kind of a long sweater or I don't know what you would call it, a cloak over there, and this body going from bed to bed.
Doing what?
Like looking over, like touching or pulling back the blankets.
The covers.
Right, looking at the faces. And then it came over to the bed we were in. And I was like, oh my God, please don't let her realize I'm awake. And I was like, oh, shh. Then she goes back over towards the boys and I grabbed the twins and I jumped up and I start screaming and I'm yelling at the boys to get up, get up, get up. And we pushed by or through. And I don't remember if
everybody started running down the steps,
but we all ran down the stairs. The only one that didn't come was the brother that was in the back room knocked out. And we're like, oh my, we ran straight into
brothers up there.
Sorry, brothers up there, brothers up there. Sorry, brothers up there, brothers up there, brothers up there. But we ran straight downstairs into our parents' room and told them that there was a woman up there and she was trying to grab the kids. Now, what I remember of her, she had long fingernails that were painted red. I remember like red looking lipstick and dark hair and just the craziest looking eyes. Can't tell you an ethnicity. All I know it was that it was this woman that looked wild and she looked angry.
Her hair was wild.
And
Did you see her too, Lisa?
I saw her too. Her hair was wild, but she was in all black. I don't remember her nails.
She wasn't all black. I remember the nails because I remember her pulling the cover down and seeing the nails.
So, but was it a solid figure?
It was a solid figure.
Yeah.
It was like you walked in the room with the cloak on and let your hair all out.
Okay.
Like you had just walked up the steps.
After you guys went downstairs to get your parents, where did this person go? Or
So
we ran outside. Well, I remember running outside, but you go ahead.
So we were in our parents' room telling them, and Dad was like, "What are you talking about? Go back to bed, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "No, Dad, there's a woman in the house. There's a woman in the house." Dad got up and went to go get his thing.
Yeah, we all know what the thing is.
Yeah, the thing is.
Protection.
And to go check the house out. So while we were in the room with our parents, while Dad is getting his thing out and trying to calm us down, you heard someone screaming, like screeching, like a banshee kind of sound.
Yeah.
You heard the running, like feet running down the stairs through the house. And then you heard like cabinets opening and closing and dishes throwing and slamming. And it was like somebody was in the kitchen taking all of our pots and pans and dishes and throwing them around and breaking glass in the house. So Dad goes out, tells us to stay. He goes and starts looking around the house and doesn't see anybody, but the dishes and stuff are all out. The doors are all to the cabinets and everything are all open. You know, everything's disheveled and stuff is turned up and tossed and turned in the living room and through the house. But, you know, and there was one window that was broken, but he didn't see anybody. And he just told us to stay in there, and he walked around the whole house and didn't find or see anybody.
I mean, how could you guys stay in that house after experiencing something like that?
Wait, she's not done.
What?
No, I'm not done. So this happened a couple of nights in a row. So that's why you remember going outside.
Running outside, yeah.
Because we ran outside the next time it happened rather than staying in the house.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. How did did she just walk in the front door?
So this is what
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You may know.
I'm going to get to that. So the two brothers and I were down in the basement looking at this lady's stuff. And when we go down there, that was when I saw the fish tank broke. And it was just so weird that you got a glimpse of this woman sitting inside of the fish tank.
Damn. And it was broken?
The fish tank was broken and she was angry. And we went running up the stairs, the two brothers and I. And we went outside. She was angry, and she was angry because they broke her fish tank.
When we went running outside, I saw her in the attic running back and forth, throwing things. Yeah, you remember that? Mm-hmm. She was like throwing things, like
she was physically picking them up.
It was. I don't even know if she was even picking it up. Shit was flying,
and we didn't have a lot of furniture upstairs. You know,
bed,
but it was like you know, a couple of mattresses and box springs or whatever. But it was like you could see clothes and things flying
just
back.
Flying, yeah. Like, you know, like Wizard of Oz type stuff. Like you're in a tornado.
So how long did that go on?
It went on for a couple of days, and then Mom did her whole take out the Bible and walk around the house. And I don't remember if she had sage or what, but I just remember her going from room to room, her and Dad together. And I was like, well, let me do this with you. And we walked room to room, reading from the Bible and telling this thing to leave the home. And when it left, believe me, it was the whirlwind of stuff through the whole house just going, and you could see it through the windows and hear her screaming and yelling through the house. And then she was gone.
Did I throw that damn fish tank away?
Yeah. But Mom not only threw the fish tank away, but she took everything, all of that furniture, set it out to the street. This guy comes driving by as we're putting the stuff out to the street and says, "Oh my God, are you all moving? This is some beautiful pieces. Or, you know, would you be interested in selling some?"
You can have that stuff.
So my mom was like, "Well, you know, sure." He was like, "How much do you want for it?" She goes, "Give me $10. It's all yours." Wow. So he gave her his business card, and he was in the antique business. And the wardrobe that I mentioned earlier, he sold that thing for a couple $1,000.
Yeah.
And she was
Well-
upset about that. I was like, Mom, you could have sold this and we needed the money, but
no, but y'all wanted that juju out of the house.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Sweet.
just one of many stories. We could go on. Do you
Well,
want that? Or?
we may, like you said, we may have to break it up in a couple of, bring you back again, tell
Okay.
us stories, but we want to get a couple of more stories out of it.
Okay.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
I mean,
Just on
What-
that house, on that particular home.
well, yeah, well, we can talk about other ones, but just this one right now.
Okay.
We're going to stick to this right now.
The witch?
No, this
Oh,
house.
this house. Sorry.
So at that house, you know, like I said, you talked about the Hat Man. What has been the most impactful paranormal experiences that you've had?
Cherie or
Deanne.
me?
You didn't even let me finish.
Oh, sorry.
So, Deanne, what's the most impactful
So for
paranormal
those that
experience
don't
you
know,
had?
she goes by two names.
Okay.
They're both hers.
Interrupt again. So, Deanne, what's the most impactful paranormal experience that you've had there?
Oh gosh. It's a tie between what I call the witch woman and the dirty old man. I say the witch woman really, really got to me because it was like, oh my God, this thing is in our house and going after my little siblings. And
So what's the dirty old man?
so the dirty old man, remember I told you that the colonel or whatever he was died in the house, and he had been working upstairs in the attic. The whole attic was finished except for the walk-in closet that you could enter from either bedroom. It wasn't until years later, before we completely moved out of the house, that we found a little trap door, or at least I did, inside the closet. I actually had a lamp and went in there and looked.
A trap door.
Like back corner to the right?
Yeah.
Closer to the
So where did
it
the-
was it was yeah, if you were coming in through the door from the stairwell, it would have been to your left of the door of the closet. So if you're standing in the closet facing out looking at our brother's bed, the
Yeah.
younger brothers,
Yeah.
it would have been in the right-hand corner.
Right.
So where
Okay.
did the trap door lead to?
It just led to the eaves around the house. So it wasn't even like it was like space in the attic that wasn't
So it was
drywalled
upstairs.
off. So it was upstairs. It was like a crawl space
Okay.
behind the drywall and the outer part of the roof, the corner area.
So the house was built in the 30s and he was
Or
military.
Maybe 30s or 40s.
Yeah, maybe because, you know, the World War II was in the
40s.
40s.
Right.
So maybe he built that to hide.
Well, no. These all these houses were built exactly the same. They were all military type houses.
So no, but maybe he built it.
Oh yeah, no, because the other houses had the same type of thing.
No, not built the house.
I'm talking about the upstairs. No, the closet area is the same in all the other houses.
And they had the trap doors too?
They had that little space where it's not. I call it a trap door, but
A
it's just
crawl space.
it's like a little crawl space that they put a piece of wood up to cover it. Anyway, when I opened it up, there were doll babies and toys in there.
See, there we go again.
There's always the doll baby and toys.
The attic and doll babies,
Mhm.
I don't mess with.
Right. So I had seen the man and I thought I was seeing things, and maybe it was just me. I came home between school and going to work. All the other kids were at school. My mom's older sister, who had never been to any of the homes we've ever lived in our entire lives, was there visiting with my mom. And mom had taken this brother to the doctors that day. So I don't know what for, because he didn't seem to be sick, but he was upstairs playing. And I come into the living room and mom and my aunt are talking, and we hear him upstairs fussing. And then you hear him hollering, Mom, make him put his clothes back on. He's nasty. Tell him to put his clothes back on. Mom was like, what? Who's upstairs with?
And this is a brother that don't remember anything?
Right.
Yeah.
So he has some other issues that happened before when he was born. So I have to tell you about that too, but that was at another place. So my mom and my aunt are like looking at each other, and they tell me to go up first to see what he's talking about. And I get to the stairs and he's standing at the top of the stairs fussing at someone, shaking his finger and then putting his hands on his hips and fussing and telling whoever it was to put your clothes back on. You're nasty. You're a nasty old man. And then he looks at me and says, Deanne, tell him to put his clothes back on. Tell Mom. I'm telling Mom. You always do this. You always do this. You're always taking your clothes off. Don't nobody want to see that. Put your clothes back on. So I was like, who are you talking to? That man right there. I was like, well, what does he look like? And by this time, my mother is like 5 steps up behind me, and my aunt is still standing at the bottom. She's like, I'm getting out of this haunted house. Y'all can stay here all you want. And so he described the man. He's like, he's an old white man. I was like, well, what do you mean he's an old white man? He's an old white man. I said, well, what does he look like? What is he wearing? He's got on a t-shirt now. He took his shirt off. I said, well, what kind of shirt did he have? So he described his shirt as a button-down shirt with short sleeves. And he described a pocket protector and pins in the pocket, that he took the shirt off.
Classic.
And,
I know.
and he had glasses, that he was gray hair, and that he had on khaki shorts. He was like, because my brother had on pants that were a khaki color, and he was saying that his shorts would look like my color, and he was pointing to his pants. But I was like, well, how long are his shorts? And he described right at above the knee. He said he had on a belt. I asked him, did he have on a belt? He said yes. I said, what color's the belt? He's like, why? Tell him to put his clothes on. And I was like, well, what clothes did he take off? And he's like, he took his shirt off. He took his pants off, or shorts off, and he keeps taking off his underwear. And he keeps trying to get me to go in the closet with him.
Ew.
Wow. So, but did you guys see this person?
I saw someone that looked like him up there once when I was laying down.
But when he was talking about this,
when
at
he
that
was
moment,
talking about him at that moment, my mind says yes now that I saw it, but no. But my mother freaked out, and I'm like, we need to get him down and get him out of here. And that was when my mother moved the kids the boys from up there in that room and put them down in the room when you first come in on the right. So that's when she moved them down there.
So with that one, how many times did that appear, and did anybody else see it?
So
I didn't.
You didn't, but your twin saw it. Our other brother saw him, and they said the same thing, that he's always taking his clothes off and trying to get them to come in the closet with him.
Damn, he was a toucher. Tell you, he was a toucher.
Yeah, I say, well,
That's
honestly,
nothing to laugh at.
It
but
is.
Nobody who says stuff like
right?
that.
It's true, man. I mean,
Right. But
come
the
on.
thing is the feeling.
So hold on, we talked
That's
about
nothing to laugh at.
but we talked about the afterlife. So he enjoyed touching little kids so much, he wanted to come back and do it
He
again.
wanted to come back. Yeah.
I'm
But-
sorry for laughing because it's not funny, but it is. Yeah, I think so. The funny thing is about that is going into that closet always made me
Always
feel
scary.
uneasy. Even
Always.
walking past it always made you feel like there was something watching you, that there was
In
something
there.
there. Just even being upstairs, period, and being in the house, period, but going up there anywhere
In
near
that
that closet.
But did anyone see something come out of that closet?
The man was the brothers, the 2 younger brothers and the little sister saw come out of there.
Yeah. You know what? She sure did. Because she would always talk about that. I just thought about that. She sure did. And I never saw it. I thought she was weird.
Yeah.
Because we were in there playing with, remember he used to do artwork.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in there touching stuff when we were supposed to. And she was over there talking to somebody. And I said, you're so weird. I went to tell on her.
So you mentioned earlier that
I didn't even think about that till just now. That's so weird.
one of your brothers slept in the closet. Is
Yeah.
it the same closet?
I mean, that
Yes,
closet
same
is
closet.
huge.
Yes.
I mean,
So, but what does he say about that?
it could be
Did
another
he-
room.
Did he experience anything in this closet?
So he may or may not say anything about it. I can tell you what I saw in changes in him when he moved into that closet. Because before he moved into that closet, he was like always like this happy, jovial, go lucky person. His artwork was always upbeat and happy, and or just it didn't have any kind of like negative vibe. Most of his artwork was doing aliens and dealing with martial arts and Frazetta kind of stuff, things that you would see on Mad Max
Right.
magazine, or what was that other one that had Frazetta? Not Rolling Stone. What that
I can't
had that
remember.
crazy artwork and stuff on the front.
Heavy metal.
Heavy metal.
Yeah.
So he did artwork along that line.
Yeah, I remember some of his stuff.
Right. So I remember the staying up until 2 and 3 in the morning posing. Yeah, doing these freaking. Nothing like having to stand there with your foot up in the air doing a side kick for over an hour to 2 hours. And every time you try to let your leg down, it's like, no, put it back. His artwork went from that to doing very demonic stuff. And he became very sullen and very cynical and, just, I would never say he would say or act like he was going to hurt himself, but he just became mean and mean-spirited, and his artwork reflected that. It was negative, it was demonic, and
but he never mentioned anything about something being in the closet.
No, he didn't. And so it was like something had taken over him, and then he started listening to demonic type music, and especially he would play the theme to The Exorcist over and over again.
Wow.
But it wasn't until he moved into that closet.
Yeah.
You're talking.
We're saying closet like it's small, but.
No, the closet was big enough to put a queen size bed in there and walk around it.
Yeah. It was huge. This closet, maybe from our couch
like a walk-in
to here.
closet.
Yeah, it was a walk-in closet, and you could enter from either end.
Either side.
And this is
Sorry.
It's
like
huge.
you said earlier, that you could make a total
U-turn.
circle
On the upstairs.
around
I said
the
U-turn.
house.
Yeah, circle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with this, the toucher, how long did he hang around?
Apparently he was there the entire time, because remember, this house was his for decades, and then he died in it and sat abandoned for a long time.
Wow. So how many years did you guys totally live in that house?
Let's see. I want to say
5, 8.
Let's see, from 70, 73, 74 until
81.
81.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was the longest we had lived.
I'm
Anywhere.
still 28.
And he was still there when you guys left.
As far
I
as
don't
we
know,
know.
but when I tell you that when they used to lock us, that's another story. We got locked out of the house by accident a couple of times when we were moving because we were still going to the elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
And we only went into the kitchen and the bathroom and then sat on the porch and waited for our parents to come get us to take us to Fairfax. We were not playing with that house because we knew somebody was in there.
Why didn't you knock on the door and ask Teddy Toucher to open it for you?
My gosh. Jeez. We knew. And you know what's funny is my brother did not go in the house at all. He went out. If he had to go in, it was a must that he went in. But we we still had the hose out front. So if you needed water,
over time, at some point, people end up in the house by themselves. Did anybody?
What do you
any
mean?
of you guys, like, everybody's out to the store and you were at soccer practice and somebody dropped you off and you're at home by yourself? I mean, was anybody ever alone in the house?
Well, I was during the day when I'd skip school.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, stuff like that.
So,
Yeah.
but did things happen then?
No, but it was just a really weird, eerie feeling that you just wanted to hurry up and get back out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like when we moved, it was only us 4 left. And we were after school, after my mom would get off from work, she would come get us because we hadn't transferred schools yet. And to go inside of that house, it was
No, I was still living there when we moved to Yorkville.
No, it was gone. Remember, everybody was gone. We didn't move schools until like.
So is this the same house that you had the Hat Man story?
That's the very same house.
Yes.
Okay, so with that, I don't want you to retell the story of the Hat Man.
Sure.
But she was in the bed with you.
She did. She didn't wake up.
So from your recollection, Deanne.
That's my account of the story.
From your recollection, Deanne, what did you notice, if anything at all?
So the one night that I remember in particular, I was in the bed and I wasn't feeling good. And I think I had worked all day and I came home and I got in the bed. Because mind you, I went to work at a very young age. But I'm laying in the bed and I remember her coming in and she kept asking me to lay down with me. And so she's in the bed with me and we're cuddled up. She was behind me at first, hugging me. And Then she kept moving around, and I'm yelling at her because she's moving around. Then
She
I'm like,
threatened to kick me out.
yes, I did. If she didn't lay still. The other one had come in and got in the bed for a few minutes, and then she left. And I just remember I like dreaming, because sometimes I'd start dreaming before I actually fall asleep, and just hearing her trying to wake me up, saying that there was somebody in the room and telling me to wake up, and her pushing me and whispering to me to wake up, wake up. And I just know that whatever it was, it felt like, I could hear her. I could see her. I could see this dark shadow. I could see the hat on this dark shadow. It was like a Billy Jack hat kind of thing.
Who's Billy Jack?
Remember your age and yourself?
Yeah. So
whoever
it was
he
more
is,
so
flat top, wide brim hat.
Wide brim
Wide
hat.
brim.
There we go.
Yeah. And I could not move. It was like I was paralyzed. I could not move. I could not respond. I could not say anything, but I could hear her calling for me. And it was like, I'm like, trying to mentally say something to let her know. And it would seem like the thing looked away from her to me at some point, but it bit her in her head. It was like trying to get her, but it bit her in the top of her head.
It bit me.
And she screamed, and it went out the window or the door or went somewhere, but it went out.
It was gone.
And when she screamed, it was like once that thing left, it was a few moments, but that was when I could wake up.
Hmm.
And
Daddy
she's
was already upstairs, ready.
So that she keeps saying upstairs. Where we were was in that first bedroom.
Yeah, the first bedroom. But Daddy and
Mom
were
had
in the basement. Remember they moved.
had-
Remember that accordion thing?
Yeah, they had moved down
They
to the
moved
basement
down
for
there.
that while.
Mhm.
So Dad's yelling at me, and he again goes to get his thing and goes looking around the house and doesn't find
He
anybody.
is mad at her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We're gonna go there, but yeah. So I'm getting in trouble because some man came in the house and tried to steal his baby, and I'm telling him that I could not wake up, right? And she's saying it bit her in the head, and my mom starts looking through her hair, and there's blood in her head. And when they cleaned it up, it was teeth marks the shape of human teeth, like a mouth in her head. So Mom put peroxide and stuff on it and some Neosporin or whatever. And she kept forever talked about that bad man biting her in the head. And she was afraid to go to sleep. Mom and Dad, after that, moved back upstairs. They moved into the front bedroom.
Because remember, they thought he came in through the bathroom window because the
Right.
bathroom window
was
led to
the
the
back
back
door.
porch.
So where the bedroom was at was at was at a level of
at the
the
level
ground.
Right.
when you would go inside of the house, it was at level,
Right.
and it was that bedroom was on the side of the house.
It was like, well, that one, the windows to the bedroom faced the front of the house, and it had a window to the side.
The side, yeah.
Right. So it was to the right of the front door, and it was the larger of the two bedrooms on the first floor.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's
And we had
people-
just moved in there. That was going to be your room. So there wasn't much in there but
Yeah.
the sheet.
people that had experience with the Hat Man. They always said if someone else was in the room, that they couldn't wake them up.
Yeah.
I could not wake her up. I tried everything.
And see, I had never heard that. I have never even heard of this Hat Man story until I saw your post on your podcast about it, and I had to comment because, I was like, wait a minute. So I
didn't know
remember
it
this
was a
happening.
thing.
I didn't know it was a thing either, but to actually experience that, and I didn't know anything about this not waking up stuff. But it's like, yeah, that was a really crazy thing, and that was what made our parents move their bedroom on to the upper level floor, to the main floor.
And see, with the Hat Man is different because a lot of people have heard of shadow people,
Mm-hmm.
but shadow people is just like the word. They're
Shadow.
shadows.
Right.
No,
Dark
this was
shadows.
solid.
But the Hat Man appears as a solid figure, but no one ever sees how he manifests. It's
He was
just
just
kind
there.
of,
That Bama was just there.
it's just kind of comes in and you just see him there.
Yeah, it was like,
But
so-
no, but hasn't been any reports about him biting people, him attacking people. Why did he attack me?
I've heard attacks on
Oh,
people,
have
but
you?
not biting.
oh,
He bit me.
So
He bit me.
what I remember is him, it was like he floated into the room. It wasn't even like he walked. It was like he just
was
kind of
just
floated
there.
Yeah.
across the floor towards the bed.
It's like in slow motion.
Yeah. And it was weird because
it
it
was
seemed like he was
fast.
by the bedroom door. Then all of a sudden he was like over here on the side, closer to the window.
Yeah.
It was like he just popped from one space to the other
Yeah.
and then came towards the bed.
Yeah, and that's the similar to the accounts of stories that I've seen of the Hat Man, the way he kind of moves around.
Mm-hmm.
It
How
doesn't move. He just
Kinda
doesn't
blinks.
walk, but you just
That Bama.
from here and from there in just a second.
Right. It's like you blink and he's right on you.
Yeah.
And that's the way it was. It was like blink and he's like right there now
Yeah.
on top of you, which was weird.
And
Now-
he came from the bathroom area. When he cut that corner like this, he cut that corner. Remember I was showing you he cut that corner?
But what's so weird about it is it's always an open door for
It's
some
an
reason.
open door, that Bama. And it was a light because I always had to have the hallway light on because I was the only one that was a big scaredy cat in that house. And I always asked for a light to be on.
But you know what? My memory is the
But-
light was on in the room.
No, it was in the hallway.
I just remember the light being bright in the room and fussing with you because I wanted the light off and you wanted the light on.
No, it was in the
Yes,
hallway.
at some point that light must have been off because he never appears.
It was in the hallway because
The
that's
shadow
how
The
I
people-
light
saw
was
him.
bright. Yeah.
The shadow people will appear if there's light in a room, but the Hat Man never appears when there's light.
Yeah.
Actually, no, that's right.
So
he
it was
doesn't
dark
appear.
where he came
Yeah.
from, and then the hallway
Yeah.
light.
So and that's why people can see him because it's always if you've ever go back and see pictures of him, you'll see him in a doorway
In a
or
doorway.
a closet, and
Mhm.
it's just a little bit of light
Illuminating
enough
on him.
so you can see him. Most people never see a face, and if they do see a face, they'll see either red eyes or teeth,
Mm-hmm.
sharp teeth,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
I need to find out. I probably should do a hypnosis, like we were talking
Well,
previous.
but even if
episode.
you did hypnosis, I mean, it probably still wouldn't give
Yes.
But I'm
defining
saying,
features
like,
of
maybe
his face.
like investigative reporting, maybe I might find.
So
something.
you'll find him.
Yeah,
knock on his
Well,
door.
look,
find out who he is.
No.
Why'd he
Knock on
do
his
that
door,
to
say-
me?
Right. No, you don't want
Why'd
to
he
find
bite
him.
me?
You know, you
What
just
was the
want-
purpose?
you want him to stay where he is unless you can bite him back.
That's true.
Exactly.
I will wear him out this day. I'm
Right?
scared of him. I'm
I'll
so
loan you my
terrified. But I'm telling you, I will wear him out. But how long have I been telling that story?
Hey,
To you.
for a long time.
Probably since I've known you, which is what, my whole life.
No, yeah, I guess.
But
But
when I
it's-
begin the story, people go, okay.
and that's where I was actually going to go to because people don't want to tell stories like that because they're afraid of what somebody else is going to say or
Right.
think about them.
Yeah.
But it's when these stories started to break, and I think that was in the 80s or 90s,
90s, I believe.
with the Hat Man, more and more people started to come out with stories like, as when I was a little kid, this happened to me.
Right.
And most of the stories, just like everything else, it's always the children.
Yeah.
So the Hat Man will come to kids, and it will come periodically, and some more frequent than others.
Yep.
And it'll stop.
Mhm.
And some will actually come back when they're adults.
Wow.
Let me tell don't do that.
Mm-mm.
I didn't hear about no adult nothing.
Right.
So I hope not, because I still live in fear. Remember I told you the oven light,
Yeah.
I can't do that because it scares me. It's near our room. So I don't like that. I can do particular night lights, but I cannot do doorway lights.
Yeah.
That's not going to work for me. I am terrified that will happen to me again. I'm
Right.
serious because I always look. Do you know, like, I can't remember what resort we stayed at. Maybe it was Bonnet Creek, I want to say.
No, we stay there most of the time when we go to Florida.
So is that the one with from our bedroom and then it goes through the bathroom and then the bathroom goes out to the front door?
Yeah, that's one of the rooms.
Was that Bonnet Creek?
Yeah.
So remember the kids were going back and forth using our bathroom and their bathroom. And every time when they leave that light on, I would see it in the doorway and I would go, did we leave that door open? and I'm sitting there looking. You are
Oh,
out.
that was Palm Air.
Was it
That one
Palm
with
Air?
that bathroom that we can go into both sides was Palm Air.
Are you sure?
Yeah, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Air. Yeah, I'm sure because the master bathroom in
Right
there
where
was
the
on the opposite
jacuzzi
side.
is, and then you go to the bathroom.
Yeah, but there wasn't a second door. There's
there's
always
the
a
second
shower.
door to go to the.
That was in Palm Air. I'm trying to tell you, we've
Oh,
stayed
okay.
at Bonnet
I
Creek
believe you.
so much.
Well, whatever it is, I know that I was scared just looking at that door because I was waiting for somebody
Well,
to cut that
like
corner.
like I said earlier, that was an impactful of I said the right word.
The
Yes,
witch
yes.
and the Hat Man
Impactful-
were impactful to me.
impactful,
It resonated.
lasting paranormal experience.
Lifetime.
In the house.
Yeah.
I'm never going to forget that.
I think the witch for me, I have two other events that were more impactful, but they didn't happen at this house. So I can save those two for another
Which
day.
house?
I know.
The 12th Street house in DC.
Oh, prior to my birth.
Prior to you, and then when we lived in Hollywood Manor after Uncle Buster died in Vietnam, and the thing that came through the window when we lived near the cemetery.
Yeah, that might
we'll-
be another story for another
we'll
time.
save it for- But is this house still there?
Yes,
the
it's
house
still
is
there.
still there.
And people live in it.
People live in it.
And
It's,
that's-
it's passed hands a couple of times, but yeah.
And just like our house in Gainesville, I want to go back and because our house was on the market last
It was
last
just
month?
on the market last month. I
I-
swear I wanted to.
If we could have moved back there, that ghost would
Even
probably
if we
been
didn't
happy
just
to see
move
us.
there, that could be a nice property for
But
rental.
I want to knock on the door and ask those people if they had
Have they
any
had it?
experience in that house.
No, you
Doesn't
know who
seem
we
like
should
you
ask?
guys should
It's
do that.
Jorge. Jorge's family.
Because I wonder.
That's not
and
his
that-
real name.
I wonder if the house you guys lived in at that point,
Is-
if people still have experiences in that
I
house.
They
wonder
have to.
about that.
They-
Yeah, you would think that they would. And second, the other thing is that backyard backed up to that church that was spooky too.
That church was. Well, you know the church,
Yeah, I know
Knox
the
Church,
That
Mhm.
church was always spooky to me. It was like there was something
wait,
that wasn't
demonic?
right about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Do you remember Mom used to leave us there for babysitting in the back where the basketball court was, and you go down them steps? And me and Michelle, I said, "This looks like a coat closet."
I know that's
They
where
have us down
that's
here
where Damien
babysitting.
the Omen went to church.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Don't do that. That's not funny.
That crazy.
There were some badass kids there. That I can tell you.
No, those kids in that neighborhood were
Oh,
fantastic.
nope.
They were.
Didn't you go there too for babysitting or no?
Hell no.
No?
No.
I
You
don't
sure?
remember Mom sending y'all to that church for babysitting. I
We
remember
went
y'all
there
going there
for
supposed to be for
babysitting.
recreation or something.
No, that was Graham Road.
So I remember because I do remember it had the basketball court or something behind it,
Basketball
and then
court.
had the church.
The basketball court
But
was
that,
right here. And
that
then the-
graveyard, that church didn't have a graveyard, did it?
No, it didn't.
No.
Mm.
And if it,
Hmm. Those
wait,
houses.
where the playground was, there was something before they put the playground.
Yeah, there was, but I don't remember what it was. I say, but I always felt like there was bodies buried there somewhere.
That's
I'm
what I'm
telling you,
saying.
we-
Where the
we talk-
playground is, I bet you there's dead bodies there.
We talk
seriously.
about this all the time that, contractors will build.
On top of dead bodies.
On
They
top
did
of
that on Guinea
bodies.
Road. Look at that 100. It was 175
Who's
slave
Guinea?
corpses down
Guinea-
in Fairfax,
Fairfax,
Guinea
yeah.
Road.
Going to
off of-
Springfield.
Yeah, off of 236.
Minano.
Not too far from Pleasant Valley Cemetery in Northern Virginia Community College.
Is that the one of our uncles was talking about, where there were slaves and stuff? No.
I don't know.
Oh.
But I know that that when they went to widen Guinea Road here about 10 years or so ago, they found over 100 and some odd, close to 170 some odd skeletal remains of slaves that Fairfax County Department of Transportation paved over their bodies.
Yeah. Because if they get the permits to do it, the contractors are going to go, well, whatever.
Right, but by law they're supposed to stop as soon as they see it. As soon as they see, they're supposed to, but they don't.
But I know a lot of times they give them that go ahead. Don't worry about it because it's
Mhm.
not in any records anywhere.
Right.
So
Right.
who can prove it?
Right.
Right.
That's true.
So it'll cost more money for you to exhume them, figure out who they are,
Mm-hmm.
to bury, see where that family, if there's any existing family, to bury those remains.
Right.
So no, they build right over top of them.
Yeah.
I guarantee, because I say that all the time. A lot of these houses that have these crazy paranormal experiences are probably on top of bodies in graveyards.
Oh,
So
yeah.
does the Hat Man come back and say, y'all are on top of my people?
Probably not. He's a whole different character.
Right.
I don't know who he is.
But
you
you know what
researched
they-
it even more than me.
But-
When I
but-
found it, I said, I'm not the only one.
But you know what they've actually talked about is that he toes the line in between dimensions.
Mm.
That's why he can pop in and out of existence. And that's why he's so solid.
Because he almost, well, that makes sense.
Unlike,
Well, what about the witch lady?
unlike the shadows,
Because she was
people.
solid.
Yeah.
She was a person.
Well, I've never seen no witches, so I can't, except for Sabrina.
So that's the name that we gave her because she
That's
was
what she
just
appeared,
all in black,
how
right?
she
And her
appeared.
hair. So
Yeah.
I don't even know if she had a hat on.
No,
Did
she didn't have a hat on. She just had.
I just remembered wild
She
hair.
just had long, dark, like gray and black looking long. My hair on a
bird's
human
nest.
day, right? You know, wiry hair like the witchy poo from Bugs Bunny, but thicker and longer. Just wiry hair that was all
I
over
know.
the place.
Did you guys have bad dreams after that?
Yeah.
I always had bad dreams at that house.
Yeah.
I always.
But what about to this day? If
Well,
you're sleeping at nighttime, you ever think about it?
I
Or
do
just
on
delete it?
occasion.
Just Hat Man.
Yeah. I mean, I've had so many crazy things that have happened, and I've always had weird dreams. So
No, but I do listen for. I listen for random things that have always followed us, like the water turning on.
yeah,
So if I hear it, I always try to debunk it. Did it come from the neighbors or is that us?
right.
Because then if it's us, then I'm going to wake up John and say, "There, whoever it is back." Because everywhere we lived, there's been water turning on, and we can't figure it out. It's not a plumbing issue where there's pressure
No.
where the water automatically turns on.
Right.
The actual
You have to physically turn it
physically
off.
turn it off. Yeah,
Right.
And it turns off by itself.
yeah.
Yeah.
So those are what I listen for in the middle of the night. I go, "Hey, what is? And then
Yeah. My thing is the hearing, listening for the footsteps going up or down the stairs or coming down the hallway. Doors opening and closing when they shouldn't. If the door's
Mhm.
already shut and the door opens, we got a problem, which has happened. And even in where I'm staying at now, I was laying in the bed and I heard the doorknob jiggle, and my husband and our roommates weren't home.
that's mommy. She said, "Let me in."
No, but it sounded like somebody walked up the stairs and came to my door and jiggled the door handle.
Wow.
I
Yeah,
know.
I'm
And that's
good
happened
on
on
that.
more than one occasion. That's why I'm moving.
Heck yeah.
I'm telling you, these maybe it follows some people. Before we wrap it up,
Yeah.
at work,
Oh,
I've only been in this office
Yeah, you
for
have to tell that story before
4
we leave.
months. This is off topic from the house, but I'm going to tell this story real quick. I stay at work late sometimes in the evening, and there's no one in the office, especially when COVID was at its peak.
Yeah.
There was no one in the building because all the other offices were closed.
Right.
And I do have a witness because one of the nurses that I work with stayed one night too and one evening and kept hearing noise. But I sit at that desk. It is dead silent.
Yeah.
He
It's-
called me.
It's quiet. This is the last time I called.
Oh,
No, but it
oh,
happened
okay.
again. But it was this dead silence. And then you just hear stuff shuffling around.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is that? And even again, the one day the nurse was there, what's that? And I go, it's something in this place. So fast forward to last week, I'm sitting there at my computer and I hear shuffling and no, it wasn't shuffling. The lights started flicking on and off.
Motion.
We have motion sensors on these lights, but the sensor on the light it doesn't turn on and off. So they're not motion sensors.
Oh,
They don't turn on and off when you walk in and out of the room. You actually have to turn them on. But there's a sensor on them with probably a timer.
Mhm.
After a certain amount of time,
It'll shut off.
it'll shut the lights off
Right.
if no one's walking around.
Right.
I'm sitting, and most of the time when those timers, when the lights turn off, they don't turn back on, even if they're sensors,
Right.
unless someone walks past them.
Right.
right?
Oh, okay.
We have those in our bathroom at work. Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and I see the light go, and I thought, I was like, wow, the girl at the front desk is still here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because she turns off the lights. So the lights just kept going click, 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 on and off. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Wow.
And the rest of the lights are just plain as, and they're connected. That's the thing about it.
Oh, wow.
These lights are connected to each other.
Yeah.
Certain segments of the light where the one was going on and off. Because I turn that one off every time I leave. It turns off the light by the back door where we go out and the nurse's station.
Right.
So I'm just still sitting there. And then I hear we have this crash cart with a defibrillator across the desk. And it sounded like somebody was fiddling around with the crash cart. And then somebody was walking behind me. I could hear, because we have some of the runners that are on the floor.
Yeah.
Walking behind me. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Oh my gosh.
And then it just kept making noise. And I called her and I said they couldn't hear it, but I recorded it.
Mm-hmm.
He said, can you hear? And I said, no, I can't
But
hear.
when I heard it, you can hear the tapping of when I was my mouse.
Uh-huh.
But you can hear the other sounds every now and then. I said, it doesn't happen very often, but you can hear other sounds. And I told her, I said, that's not me making that noise.
Wow.
And there's nothing, no fans, there's nothing that we can move around. The other day, the same thing again. I'm in this office, but I'm working at one of the back offices. And I'm all done. I'm about to wrap up. I hear this like really fast, hard walking down the thing. So I look out because I was about to come out. It was one of those things where I was wrapping up my stuff and I was getting ready to walk out the room, and I went to go out the corner and I heard I stepped back a little bit because I thought someone was going to be walking past me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what is this? There was nobody. I said, is one of the doctors still here? I looked all around the office. There's no one in that office.
Wow.
Oh my
me.
gosh.
I hear that consistently when I'm
You
there.
need to record it.
But like the last time, you couldn't hear it when I recorded
Video
it.
record it.
What's the video going to do?
Pan it around as the sound goes. You know what I mean?
We watch all these shows and people don't believe it because I can add footsteps to this.
No,
I can
true.
add haunted
I
ghost
believe
sounds
it, babe,
to this.
and that's all that matters.
But yeah, it happens. It happens consistently when I stay there by myself at night or in the evening. And it's where it is in Aldi. And what was in Aldi before? Nothing.
Farm.
Absolutely
Farm and Graves.
nothing.
Well, wait a minute. So back up, even before there was an Aldi, remember this was all native land at one time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because I remember driving where I work. I remember driving in that area. For those that don't know, we live probably 40-45 minutes out of DC. We live in Virginia. Virginia's still part of the South.
Northern Virginia, please.
But Virginia,
very different
I don't
from
give
Southern.
a F if it's Northern Virginia
It's
or
still,
not.
right?
It's still part of the South. And if you
Yeah.
go further into Virginia,
Yeah.
even Northern Virginia, there was nothing but farmland
That's
right.
true.
That's very true. There were
That's
dairy farms all around up in here.
everywhere.
When
Right.
we were kids, when we were little.
So it's been built up over the whatever amount of years since I've been living here.
Gentrification.
Yeah. So, I mean, they built a hospital there that people didn't even know about. I mean, and what happened to all these farms and all these, again, things that were out there?
When people reply back to the post, they're in my group for my old employer in Tyson's. They were talking about it on the 3rd floor where I work, and on the I can't remember the floor. I want to say the 2nd, that there were appearances, and they actually named the person. So
In the building that you worked in?
Yep. And I want to see, and some people have seen her on the pond, in the pond area.
I'm telling you, I can guarantee, because that was nothing but farm too.
It was nothing but farm.
I can guarantee you, because we've mentioned this multiple times before, that people buried their family
on their
on their
farms.
property.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Yes, they did. Look at that right there at Nutley and Lee Highway. That was farmland, and that the old couple that owned it.
Still, graves are still there.
Their graves are still there.
Can you
Everything's been
imagine
built around it.
Could you imagine how many that are still there besides them too? Okay, so, but, going back to that, I do think that a lot of these places are built on top of graves.
Mm-hmm.
So
They are.
maybe that's
the
the
reason why I
same-
brought her up is because when we went to her house just in Fairfax, which was rare that you saw graves still in people's yards when you drove up.
Mm-hmm.
And we
because
still have them in Gainesville.
Certainly,
Not
but
here.
you didn't see it in Fairfax. Did you
Right.
see graves in people's yards in Fairfax?
Well, depends on how old the neighborhood
Right.
was.
Sure. Well, that's my
Well,
point.
I mean,
so
like
near
in the
Fairlakes.
Indiana and Dunloring area, you'd see it on
Oh, well.
occasion.
Yeah,
And I mean,
depending.
yeah, even in Fairfax and Falls Church. But
I've
a
never
lot,
seen it.
yeah, I say, but it just depended upon where you were and how far back in the woods the house was.
Sure. This one was on the main road.
All right. So to wrap up, so I guess we all believe in ghosts.
At this point,
Right?
just to wrap it up.
The Fenwick Roadhouse.
our takeaway is
Yeah, we believe. But we're gonna go ahead and wrap this show up. I don't even know how long we've been rambling about this, but
Forever.
they were give me a good word instead of good or interesting. Come on, give me a word. You're the word police.
Go ahead, Shuri.
What am I looking for a word for?
A word because he
Instead
always
of say
says interesting.
interesting or-
He says interesting every 5 minutes.
What is a good word for interesting?
So the stories
think
that
of something.
that Lisa and thank you again, Deanne.
You're
These
welcome. Thank you for having me.
Stories were extraordinary. I enjoyed them.
Worth listening to.
They're definitely worth listening because I've heard bits and pieces of the stories, but
We
they
have
have
more.
plenty more stories. So what we'll do at some point, we'll bring you back again and we'll talk about more of them. Other
Sure.
houses, I guess.
Yes, yes.
Does that sound
Not
good?
me, because I only had that.
Okay, so you guys out there, if you do have
Mostly.
any experiences that you'd like to share, especially if you're in Virginia, I want to start hooking up with some of the paranormal groups out here in Virginia. If you do have
DMV,
any,
stand up.
what?
Nothing.
Why do you always interrupt me when
My
I'm trying to
apologies.
wrap it
Okay.
up?
Thank you
I need to
to
get
our
that
special
Dave
guest.
I need to get that Dave Chappelle thing. You know how the Grammys and all that do wrap it
Yes.
up? Okay, I'm trying to wrap it up. So
All
wrap
right.
it up.
Thank
So
you,
if you guys
special
out there
guest.
have any stories to share, any
like, share, subscribe.
like, share, subscribe, send the stories to jwcarterfilmworks@gmail.com or join the Facebook group Mysteries and Beliefs Podcast with John Carter. And you're about to say something?
Yes. Thank you, Shuri, Deanne.
You're welcome.
For
Thank
coming.
you guys for having me. And
And
How do you feel about
if I'm not
sharing it?
mistaken, I said that a few
How do you?
Yeah, he did.
when you
How do
kept
you-
interrupting.
You know
How
what?
do
You
you
can tell
feel?
that you two have been married for a long time. It's funny.
Seriously, how do you feel being on the mic?
I pretty much wasn't paying attention to the mic being there. I was just
See,
paying attention
because
to the
it's a
story.
conversation.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
it.
In
This
my
is
face.
what this is all about. It's a conversation.
Sure.
Yes.
That's it.
Well, I appreciate
We discuss
it. Thank
a lot
you
of
so
stuff.
much.
Yeah.
I try to throw a little bit of science into it because I'm into the science, but for the most part, it is a conversation.
Intriguing,
And with that note,
captivating.
we'll go back again.
Oh, like,
So to
share,
wrap it up,
subscribe.
if
comment.
you want to be a part of the conversation, if you have anything to add, just email me or join. Until next time.
Bye.